Happy New Year, everybody. Welcome to 2018 First Council meeting. First, we've got public questions. First item is public questions. And we've had one valid question received from a member of the public, and it's set out in the council papers, and it's from a Dr. Ridley. Is Dr. Ridley in attendance? No? I will just take the question as read. Councillor Pickard, could you respond, please?
Thank you. I'm responding on behalf of Councillor Harrison, who unfortunately can't be here tonight, the same as the Mayor. Can I first say how delighted I am that he has actually chosen North Tyneside and indeed Cullercoats as an area to live in or to semi-retire to. In answer to his question, I think it's important to recognise that London is our capital city with a population that is around 8 times greater than the whole of Tyne and Wear. It also has a completely different nighttime economy to ours. Also, in terms of bus services, it has a different legal framework from the rest of England, so there are some quite significant differences. In relation to our bus services, there are a number of bus operators that provide transport links around the region on a purely commercial basis, and Nexus ensures that there is a network of secured bus services provided for links which are not met by the commercial operators. Councillor Harrison has spoken to Nexus in relation to this question and can advise Dr. Ridley that Nexus do not have any current plans to introduce nighttime metro services or any additional late night bus services, as the higher costs of operation against the likely patronage does not result in a financially viable service. Of course, any bus operator is free to introduce a new nighttime service if it is so chosen, but I am not aware of any plans to do so at this time.
Thank you, Councillor Pickard. We move on to item 2, apologies. I've received apologies from the elected Mayor and Councillor Harrison. Do we have any other apologies in absence? Councillor Burders?
Apologies from Carol Burders.
Thank you. Councillor Early? Francis Sweetman?
Martin Rankin.
Martin Rankin. And
Councillor Pam Brooks.
Pam Brooks, thank you. No other apologies? Could members please sign the record of attendance, please? Next item, item 3, declarations of interest. Can I remind members if they have any registrable or non-registrable interests in matters appearing on the agenda and the nature of the interest, they must verbally declare that's in respect to the items of business to be discussed at this meeting and the nature of such interests. You are also invited to disclose any dispensation from the requirement to declare any registrable or non-registrable interests that have been granted to you in respect of any matters appearing on the agenda. Those members should also complete a card that will be circulated and return it to the receptacle located at the desk for Democratic Services officers before leaving. Thank you. Item 4, the minutes. Can I ask Council to confirm those minutes? Agreed? So, Councillor Burders? Sorry, the declaration of interest, sorry.
I have a brother-in-law that works for the local authority.
All right, thank you,
and it's related to item 5.
Right. Councillor Spillard?
Thank you, Chair. I have a relative who works for North Tyneside Council in relation to item 5.
Councillor Glindon?
I have a daughter-in-law that works for the authority.
Thank you. Councillor Madden? Gary Madden?
Works for the authority.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Maureen Madden? Thank you. Councillor Reynolds?
I want to declare an interest on item 5. I work with the people who will be affected by the council tax support, and I also have family who work in other areas that are going to be affected.
Okay, thank you, Councillor. Thank you, Councillor Bell. Councillor Bell?
Hello.
Same.
Sorry.
Councillor Mazzoni?
I've got relations who work 20% for the council who work for Kia.
Thank you, Councillor. Anyone else for the declarations of interest? Thank you. Sorry, I moved on quickly and I didn't get all this. Item 4, the minutes. The minutes have been circulated. Can I ask Council to confirm those minutes? Great, thank you. Item 5, Council Tax Support Scheme 2018-19. A report from the Head of Finance is attached to the agenda. Can I ask Councillor Glindon to move the report, please?
Thank you, Chair. I'll present this report to Council on a proposed local council tax support scheme for the financial year 2018 to 2019. Ask the Council to note the outcome of this year's consultation, the financial pressures placed upon the authority due to the continuing reduction of funding from central government. Acknowledging the consultation that 48% of the respondents disagreed with reducing the maximum support levels from 87.5 to 85 of claimants of working age. However, whilst we make every effort to support our residents in receipt of the local council's tax support, the financial position of the council is such we have to consider providing a slightly lower level of support in 18-19. It is also noted that the level of support we offer remains at a higher level than most of our regional neighbours and the majority of councils nationally. In considering any reduction in support, we have tried to keep the proposed reduction down to a minimum level. It's for these reasons I ask the Council to agree option 1, 1.61 of this report and agree to reduce the maximum level of council tax support of working age claimants from 87.5% to 85% for the financial year 2018-2019. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Glindon. Councillor Spillard, could I ask you to turn your microphone on? Thank you. Thank you. Can I ask Councillor McMullen to second the report, please?
Formally second and reserve the right to speak.
Thank you. Are there any questions? Members to speak to the motion? Nobody wants to speak? Oh, sorry. Councillor Marcoff.
Thank you, Chair. I'll be very brief because I appreciate the circumstances that the council's in, but at the same time I think we have to say something about the fact that this by keep increasing this or reducing the amount of support we give, people that are being affected are the poorest people in our community. And I do think we have to emphasise that and try and find a way perhaps to either freeze this or perhaps make it less necessary by, we could possibly manage next year perhaps to put up the, try to increase the amount you actually take in council tax to make this less likely that you have to do this. But I appreciate that the government have done this as well. So you sort of, your hands are tied, I know to some extent, but I do feel that we have to emphasise the fact that the only people that are going to suffer from this are the poorest people in our community. Okay.
Thank you, Councillor Hascroft.
Chairman, I'm sorry. Is there something the matter with the microphones tonight? Because we're finding it quite difficult to hear.
Can you hear me? Right. Who can't hear them? Is it? Is it the fans? Is that what it is? Right. Well, let me know when you're feeling cold. We'll get the fans put on. Right. Okay. We'll take that as a signal. They're all on, I think. I know? Yeah. Thank you. Yes. Right, thanks. Is that better? Is that better? Right. Okay. Right. Can I invite Councillor Glindon to exercise his right of reply.
Like I say, I mean, I would agree with everything that Councillor Huskell said, but obviously it's a situation that we're in. I'm not going to go into politics of it, but everybody knows that, you know, we are short of money. We have been year after year since 2010. So I would just propose that ask everybody to support the motion. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Glindon. We'll now go to the vote. Those in favour? Those against? That's 50 in favour and none against. Thank you. We move on to item 6, the North of Tyne devolution. Can I ask Councillor Pickard to move the report?
Thank you, Chair. I'm pleased to bring this report on behalf of the Mayor to the Council tonight. The Mindy2 devolution deal is about giving local authorities more local control and more powers. It's not about taking it away from them. It proposes significant extra new funding of 600 million to invest in the local North of Tyne area, which will allow us to decide locally how we can invest in our priorities for our residents, get our people into jobs, provide the right housing and infrastructure in place that our communities need, support our need to get the skills they need, help people to move from low-paid jobs and get that first step into work through apprenticeships, work-related training and work experience. Within the report, the independent report that's included in it shows that we could expect to deliver 10,000 extra jobs, helping over 9,000 people get into work, building 10,000 new homes, gain over 2.1 billion in private sector investment and add 1.1 billion GVA to the economy. The Mindy2 devolution deal, which was announced on the 24th of November, now moves on to the first stage of its possible implementation. The deal can only be delivered if there are changes to the existing way in which we work together with other councils across the North East area. These changes mean setting up a new North of Tyne mayoral combined authority across North Tyneside, Newcastle and Northumberland, changing the boundaries of the existing North East combined authority to remove the 3 North of Tyne councils. Along with Newcastle and Northumberland, we have undertaken a governance review to consider if these changes would be of benefit and improve the exercise of certain statutory functions. We have also developed a draft scheme, a set of proposals on how the new mayoral combined authority would operate. The report to Council sets out the governance review and the draft scheme. A public consultation exercise across the whole of the North East region on the scheme proposals began on the 14th of December and will run until the 5th of February. Cabinet will be asked to consider the responses to the consultation before they are submitted to the Government by mid-February. Government will then determine the next stage and necessary legislation to make a change required to implement the Mindy2 devolution deal. We are placing the documents here today in front of the Council as they have already been to Cabinet. We are not asking for a debate for or against. That will come at a later stage once we've seen the outcome of any possible changes to any legislation. Council will be consulted on any draft order establishing the North of Tyne Mayoral Combined Authority prior to any formal consent by Cabinet to the making of such an order. I would ask Council to support the recommendations in this report.
Thank you, Councillor Pickard. Can I ask Councillor Ian Grayson to second the report?
Yeah, thank you, Chair. Yeah, formally second and reserve the right to speak. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any questions? I'll now invite, Councillor Hodgson and Councillor Mason. Councillor Mason first, was it? You're going to? Age before people. Okay, Councillor.
So, Councillor Mason.
That was my line.
Oh, sorry. I'll have to learn the
Just a question, please. In the Mayor's note to members, she set out a number of guidelines within which the devolved authority would take decisions. I note the absence of environmental guidelines. The new authority will include a long coastline, responsibility for most of the River Tyne, a huge land area filled with historic buildings and structures, villages, farmland and amazing scenery. Surely a major guideline considerations. should they not be identified as considerations for decisions taken by the new authority?
Thank you, Councillor Hodgson.
The way you've described there, the geographical effect of the environment, part of the scheme is the rural stewardship issue, where they're looking to pilot that particular area on behalf of the other areas. So we try, with us being near the borders and the borders issue coming on as well. So there will be an environmental part to it. In addition to that, decisions taken would have the same as we would do in this authority. We would look at environmental issues, financial issues, legal issues would have to take place. But the rural stewardship is a significant part of the deal. If you have a look through, that's where it comes in there.
Councillor Mason.
I've got about 5 questions, Chair, if you may. Is that okay? Thank you. Is the Mayor's allowance taken from the £20 million investment fund?
No decision's been made on that yet. However, what would happen is expected that the authority would be run from the development fund, yes.
And the £20 million investment fund, is it subject to inflationary increases?
No.
The adult education budget is going to be devolved from the government. Is that included in the £20 million investment fund?
No, it's additional. Once the stewardship review's been gone through.
The 3 local plans are reviewed at different dates. Will they be reviewed together? Because under housing and land on page 43, it sort of infers that they're all going to be reviewed together. I take it that the 3 authorities at the moment have different dates for review.
They do, but the new setup doesn't take away any planning responsibilities from the local authorities. It's more a strategic planning role.
Okay, yeah. Actually, that one's been answered. That's great. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Now I invite members to speak to the motion. Oh, sorry, did you want to ask a question?
Yes, please, Chairman. With regard to the education, on page 38 it refers under higher skills to the establishment of an institute for technology, which I very much welcome. I presume from that wording that it is designed for 18 plus. But I wonder if we could have some clarification about that, because I understood in the initial discussions that there was some talk of a specific science college for pupils post-16, to which those with appropriate interests and abilities could be directed. And I wonder if that could be clarified, please.
We're still working through the exact detail of that. I think we probably would prefer it to be 16 plus rather than 18 plus, but obviously there's work to be done with the education sector on that and with government on that, so there's still some detail to be put on that. But I think the expectation from members would be a 16 plus college.
Any more questions? Now invite members to speak to the motion. Does anyone want to speak to it? Councillor Wallace?
Thank you, Chairman. We do welcome this development with the North of Tyne devolution. Obviously part of the government's desire to transfer powers from Whitehall as close as possible to residents, and we do go along with that. We approve of it, and indeed we hope as we leave the European Union and powers come back from Brussels to this country, we will see more powers devolved from Whitehall to our area and indeed others across the country. I think it's really important that this is a very different setup from that which was proposed with the Regional Assembly back in 2004, which would have taken powers away from the citizens. I think it's very good that we are seeing powers coming to us at a local level. It's unfortunate that the original deal stalled and that the 7 authorities couldn't reach agreement. To that extent, I think we've been left behind. We already see the Teesside devolution powering ahead with the Conservative Mayor, but I'm glad that this is now progressing, and I look forward to further updates as it progresses. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Wallace. Is there anyone else who would like to speak to the motion? Well, then we'll go to the vote. Those in favour? Sorry. No, to note it, sorry. Sorry. Yeah. Is it noted, right?
Oh, is it?
It's noted. It sounds like voted, though, doesn't it? Okay. Thank you. We'll move on to item 7, programme of the meetings for 2017-2018. Can I ask Councillor Pickard to move the report?
I think with all the apologies and all the declaration of interest, I could have held this meeting on my own somewhere. Council is requested to approve a timetable of meetings for the 2018-19 and to agree those dates of council meetings during 2018 and 19 at which questions will be taken from members of the public. An updated timetable has been circulated around the chamber which shows the changes proposed to the version that appears in the agenda papers. The timetable has been drawn up using similar principles upon which the current year's timetable is based, as set out in section 1.5.2 of the report, and is based upon the commencement times that were agreed for the current municipal year. The timetable also includes dates for members' development and members' briefing. It is also proposed that as for the current year, 3 council meetings will be designated for public questions, i.e. the meetings to be held on the 26th of July 2018, 22nd of November 2018 and the 17th of January 2019. I would like to move the recommendations as set out in paragraph 1.2 of the report, subject to the revised timetable that has been circulated tonight being approved.
Thank you, Councillor Pickard. Can I ask Councillor Eddie Dark to second the report?
Formally second, and I will take up the written reply.
Thank you. Are there any questions? Do any members want to speak to this motion? Then can I invite Councillor Pickard? Oh, you're right, it's all right. Do you want to say anything else? Then we'll just go to the vote. Those in favour? And those against? That's 50 in favour, none against. Item 8 is the common seal. Agreed. Oops. Just pink things. The chair's announcements are just there's going to be the charity dinner on the 2nd of February, and there are still tickets available. There's quite a lot of officers coming and not very many councillors, but I know there's been a concern about the venue, but we are using other community events for some of the events that I'm taking part in this year. Really the primary aim of this is to support my charities, which are Maggie's, who help people who have experienced cancer in their families and give support. The Living at Home scheme, who provide some excellent help for people who are elderly people who are living in isolation, getting to come to a venue and get something to eat and things like that, and make sure they're kept in contact with. And also the YMCA, who are doing some excellent work within the borough with young people, vulnerable young people. So that's some really fantastic charities, and if you can, I'd love to see you along at that event so we can support them. The Whitley Bay Town Cup. The Whitley Bay Town Cup subcommittee met in December and awarded the cup for 2017 to Shikara, is that a singer? Restaurant in Whitley Bay. This was in recognition of the national awards won by the restaurant and the chef, how the success of the business has helped to raise the profile of Whitley Bay and the restaurant's involvement within the community. The restaurant owners will be invited to meet with myself in the near future to be presented to the cup. Unfortunately tonight They're all working, aren't they? So it's, yeah. So, never mind. Okay. Secondly, I'd like to congratulate the elected mayor, who unfortunately can't be here tonight, for being honoured and awarded the CBE in Her Majesty's New Year's Honours List for Public and Community Service. I think it's very, very well done there. Okay. And we have no more announcements because obviously she isn't here. And next we've got item 11, which is the questions by members to the council. And we've got 3 valid questions. So I'd like to invite, is it Councillor Clark? Do you want to read your question or do you want to take it as read? She's not here. Oh, sorry. Sorry, who's reading first? Councillor Spillard. Sorry, Councillor Spillard. I've got Councillor Clark here. So.
If you could just take it as read, please, Chair.
Okay. Councillor Hall, would you like to respond?
Yes. I understand that the Clinical Commissioning Group met on the 5th of December to consider the outcome of their engagement exercise concerning urgent care. I've established the following details about what is proposed for the Urgent Care Centre. It was proposed at the beginning that the Urgent Care Centre was only to be open from 8 till 10 until September the 30th this year, 2018. That was changed and the Urgent Care Centre at present is now open from 8 till midnight until September the 30th. New arrangements will start on October the 1st, 2018, and the Urgent Care Centre will continue to be open from 8 till midnight. The new specifications include a booked appointment system which will be available at the Urgent Care Centre from midnight till 8 o'clock in the morning. Specifications for the new service have been issued together with an invitation to tender. The closing date for submitting the bid is the 5th of February 2018. The decision on the successful bid is to be made in March 2018 to start the 1st of October 2018. There has been interest shown in providing this service, but the CCG is not in a position to say who is definitely submitting a bid. It is important that the Urgent Care Centre arrangements get full publicity and are communicated to all the residents of North Tyneside. And I can assure members that the elected Mayor, Deputy Mayor, Cabinet members and our MPs have made it very clear to the NHS leaders that we, along with our residents, remain unhappy about this situation and will continue to voice our concerns. In addition to writing to central government and health officials, the elected Mayor is hosting a follow-up meeting with senior leadership team of the Clinical Commissioning Group on the 26th of January, where she will continue to make these points on behalf of our residents. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Hall. Do you have a supplementary question, Councillor Spillard?
No thanks, Chair. Thank you for the comprehensive response.
Thank you. Councillor Bolger, do you want to ask your question or do you want to take it as read?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'd just like to take it as read. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Sterling, would you like to respond?
Yeah. Thank you for the question. I agree that it's important that we all protect North Tyneside's beautiful and vibrant coastline for future generations to enjoy. Our 3 blue flags and 4 quality coast awards are testament to the work that we do to ensure that we keep our coastline clean for all to enjoy. I'm delighted that Service Against Sewage and businesses such as Riley's Fish Shack and Long Sands Fish Kitchen in Tynemouth are on board with this and helping us by organising clean-up days or ceasing to use harmful plastics. I know that they have been instrumental in getting local people and businesses behind a local campaign to qualify Tynemouth as a plastic-free coastline. Frankly, it's a relief to see a real shift in attitudes to plastic. I am also pleased central government has also, at long last, announced plans to eradicate all avoidable plastic waste. It's just a shame that it would take till 2042 to sort of get there. As I am sure you will be aware, there is talk of introducing a 5p tax on single-use plastic bottles. I can assure members that I will be watching very closely how these policies develop and ensure that North Tyneside is at the forefront of any local government action that is required. I believe that we can do more to encourage North Tyneside residents to think about the environmental impact of these plastic products, particularly if they have not disposed of it properly. In fact, it was a very hot topic of discussion at the State of the Area event in October last year, where our young people in particular were committed to making a difference. Following that, we are also working actively with the young mayor and his cabinet to deliver a campaign to reduce the use of single-use plastic bottles and to promote the use of reusable drinks containers. Recycling is vitally important, not just for plastic, but other types of recyclables. That is why we take measures which are not always popular to increase the levels of recycling and keep our environment clean for future generations to enjoy. We need all residents to embrace these changes and to help us with these plans towards this. We will continue to support our residents' businesses and visitors to act responsibly and recycle their single-use plastic products. Our Wash and Squash Recycle campaign is a great example of this. I have, as a cabinet member for environment, asked for a full report on what the council can do to limit the use of single-use plastics in the council. In addition to this, I have discussed these issues with the Chair of the Environment Subcommittee and suggested that we invite the campaign leads for Surfers Against Sewage Plastic Bags coastlines to a meeting of the Environment Subcommittee to discuss how we work with them. And of course, I will continue to investigate how North Tyneside Council can support initiatives to minimise the impact of single-use plastic products, as you have requested, as we all try to make sure that our coast is enjoyed by generations to come. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Sterling. Do you have a supplementary question, Councillor Bolton? Can you? I'm happy with that. Yeah, all right. Question 3, Councillor Hodgson. Would you like to read the question or take it as read?
I'll read the question, please.
Okay, thank you.
I have asked the Mayor previously about her views concerning the planning permission given to a massive energy from waste plant proposed to be built in Howden to serve the combined authority. Has she had an opportunity yet to discuss the proposal with other members of the combined authority leadership? And are they also satisfied with the project and its possible consequences?
Thank you, Councillor Hodgson. Can I ask Councillor Pickard to respond, please? Thank
you, Councillor Hodgson. You have indeed asked the Mayor previously of her views concerning the planning permission granted for an energy from waste plant at the Port of Tyne, and she answered your question at our July meeting. To reiterate what the Mayor said at that time, the Mayor made it very clear she had not supported this offer as a recommendation, and at no point in time had any of her correspondence given an indication of her support or otherwise for this plant. I understand that her position has not changed since then. She has not indicated support for the facility, and that is beyond her remit. She also explained that she has personal reservations about the facility, but planning permission has been granted following the proper democratic process. As we are aware, the facility is not yet licensed or built, and as far as we are aware, it has no commercial arrangements in place to process waste, let alone any arrangement with the combined authority. It has not therefore been subject to discussion with the combined authority leadership at this stage.
Thank you, Councillor Pickard. Do you have a supplementary question, Councillor Hodgson?
Please, Mayor. Chairman, the proposed energy from waste plant has yet to obtain approval from the Environment Agency, and this may not be given. However, the growing understanding of the importance of air quality and its effect on health calls into question why such a massive plant with its copious poisonous emissions should ever have been considered acceptable for the residents of the combined authority, including us in North Tyneside. In addition, burdens on residents of Riverside and Howden are frankly shameful. Why does the Mayor choose to ignore this assault on the health and well-being of our combined authority residents?
Well, Councillor Hodgson, I mean, we've crossed swords before, but in general, there's no disagreement between the Mayor, me or yourself. We all oppose this facility going down there, but we need to make the right interjections at the right time. As far as I'm aware, because I've checked up even recent date today, there has been no application yet for an Environment Agency licence. If and when there is one, we will be taking a position on our response from the council, which will include discussing issues with people like South Tyneside, Gateshead and Newcastle. But at the moment, there is no proposal to do it. However, the big thing that will stop this will be that it cannot go ahead unless the government, your government, provides it with a grant to make it economically viable. So I would suggest that you could help the Mayor and myself in their campaign to get it stopped. If you would kindly have a word with your own government, suggesting that the people of North Tyneside don't want this incinerator, so please don't give them any money. Because without that money from your government, it will not go ahead.
Thank you, Councillor Pickard. Well, thank you for your attendance. That was a record 40 minutes council meeting. And if you'd like to join me for a drink, a New Year's drink in the chambers, you're very welcome. The tea will still be hot because it's only been there for 40 minutes. Okay? And I'd like to see if you can. Okay, thank you all. Thank you.